Welcome to my workout I did today. This is one of my go-to full body workout structures and a lot of the time what I use with clients. For warming up, I like to use the Sled for reference. The Sled has 2 plates on it and the strip of turf is about 10 yards. I usually like to do 3 to 4 rounds of this to get the lower body warmed up. Then I transitioned into some upper body mobility. This is my favorite go-to exercise called a prone angel. I did the first round here on the ground, and then I'm going to go ahead and then transition and do a second round on the lower back extension machine, which you're going to see right here. I chose to do this because I just did. I like setting up here because it kind of engaged my lower body, my glutes and my low back, and still got the same warming up for my shoulders and upper back. Usually I always program 1 or 2 upper body mobility and 1 or 2 lower body mobility in my workouts. For my lower body today, my glutes were a little sore from a run I did yesterday, so I warmed them up with this kind of elevated pigeon stretch. I had a small 15-pound kettlebell just to help me get a little bit deeper into the stretch. I did 5 of these on each side. This is sort of an optional part of the workout. I added in some jumps, some double leg, single leg, and then you'll see side-to-side jumps. Now, if you're going to do a power or explosive exercise in your workout, it's always good to do it right after your warm-up before you do any lifting. Of course, this is definitely optional. As you guys know, I do a ton of flips, so keeping my ankles conditioned with a little bit of extra jumping is always helpful. There wasn't any rhyme or reason to why I chose these. A lot of the time I try not to overthink them and just choose something that involves kind of rebounding and exploding. For my first lower body exercise, I did some split squats. Now for split squats, I know they can be really awkward, so I'm a big fan of going all the way down to the ground with a pad. Now if you have shorter legs, it can be helpful to raise up the ground with a step or a plate. And that way you can kind of get your distance set and it's a little bit easier to do the exercise. My second lower body exercise, I did some Nordic curls. I have this cool Nordic curl bench that is the same lower back extension that you saw earlier. Now, I think the average person doesn't need to do Nordic curls. If you do a lot of sprinting and jumping, it can be a really good tool to train the hamstring. But there's definitely a lot easier options that still are super great for the hamstring that I would use instead. Again, unless you're an athlete and do a lot of jumping. In between my Nordic curl sets, which I did 3 sets of 4, I came over here and started warming up my upper back before doing some rows. So I just did some banded reverse flies here. I kind of did these as a superset with the Nordic curls. This is generally a big staple in all my workouts for myself and for clients, just because most people struggle with poor posture, and it's going to be really good to just work that upper back and rear delt. For my pull or back exercise, I just did some chest supported rows. This is one of my favorite ways in my gym to do the rows since I don't have any machines. The feeling of your chest being supported and just having to pull with gravity sort of helps keep you in a really good position and not have to overthink how you're doing the row. For my upper body, I supersetted the rows with some deficit push-ups. The great thing about being 6'2" and over 200 pounds is that bodyweight exercises are super challenging. So I just did sets of 10 of this. I went back and forth with the row in this and did 3 rounds. And then I transitioned from this and I'm going to finish with a single core exercise. For core, today I did lower ab. Now, a lot of people do hanging leg raises, either this way or hanging overhead. Remember that to train your lower abs, you have to actually curl your spine up. If you don't curl your spine up, It's going to be a significantly more hip flexor than lower ab, though regardless, you're going to get both anyway.